All right, my next guest is the Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. All right, so in my argument, I was going over some layers of managed decline of the United States. The left wants a reset, and I said that Joe Biden can't get out and sell this economy. He can't get out and sell high gas prices, high food prices, the inflation, the rate hikes. I'm looking here at something you gave us. 14% of Americans said that they felt they would lose their job over the next year. So what is the argument for 4 more years of Biden?
There's not really a good argument. I mean, if he's looking at the economy as an argument, it's a complete failure. Perhaps there are foreign policy achievements. I'm not familiar with them. But if he's looking at his economic track record, it's an abject failure. Only about 26% of Americans, according to recent polling, say that Bidenomics has been good for the economy. He keeps going out there and repeating it over and over. He keeps repeating lies that he's reduced the deficit, that the economy is booming. But no matter how many times you repeat these lies, Americans simply aren't buying it because guess what? They can go out there and see for themselves what's really happening.
I've always said, look, I'm a conservative. I don't like high taxes. You know, if you think about a local community, if you're paying high taxes, you might gripe about it. But if the schools are good, the crime rate is low, and the snow is plowed, if it snows, if life is pretty good for your taxes, you at least feel like you're getting what you're paying for, right? You look at every major metropolitan city run by Democrats right now. Crime is up. You know, you've got migrants all over the place, homelessness, schools in decline. And that's pretty much the story of the country. We're taxing ourselves to death, and we're not getting anything for it.
Yeah, I think the approval of the government itself, the way it's functioning, is very low as well. People are frustrated right now, and I think you look at their wages. Wages are falling relative to inflation for a lot of Americans. It's extraordinarily difficult to go out there and purchase a house, to live the American dream, when you have interest rates that are climbing toward 8% and housing prices that have not fallen since the pandemic. You look at the automobile loan situation. You know, you have default rates on auto loans at a 29-year high right now. Credit card default rates at a 10-year high. People are falling behind in this economy. You're right, they're not getting the services they'd like to out of the government. Crime is increasing in almost every major city in this country. But yeah, it's not a good look for this president. I wish he would spend some time actually fixing ththese problems rather than going out there and pretending like he's addressing them and pretending like everything is hunky-dory.
Yeah, and all the incentives, all the grants and giveaways and tax credits to buy an EV, we're already seeing that the major automobile makers are scaling back production of EV trucks, at least. I mean, they're also facing, UAW strikes. But the fact is, people don't want these vehicles, and that doesn't make me think they're going to back off them. I think they're going to push them even harder.
No, that's absolutely true. You know, the average cost of an EV right now is over $53,000. So even when you're subsidizing that to the tune of $7,500 with these tax credits, how is a working class American going to finance that when you're looking at an interest rate that could be 10% or even higher? They simply can't. You know, the traditional, the ICE, the internal combustion engine market is bad enough as it is. The average cost of a vehicle now is about $27,000. You're looking at huge payments, $600, $700 for people to get back and forth to their job, to take their kids to soccer practice. You know, the prices are absolutely through the roof. And we're spending $12 billion to convert existing automobile manufacturing to EVs. We should be producing more automobiles as they exist now because more supply, of course, will lower prices. But instead, we're spending all of these taxpayer resources to shift them to products that, like you said, Americans don't want.
No, it's funny. I was reading a piece the other day from Yahoo Finance saying that, we're never going to get the American semiconductor industry off the ground without more immigration. I'm sorry, we got 330 million people in this country. We're promoting STEM. We're fully funding community colleges. We're paying back student loans. You're telling me the only way to run the semiconductor industry is to bring even more people into the country and then what? pay them a below market wage so they qualify for more taxpayer funded services. We're sending our money overseas in foreign and military aid while people are pouring across the border in need of resources. I don't know who thinks that's a sane way to run a country and an economy. We're denying ourselves resources while we're increasing the number of people who are placing demand for those resources on the system that we pay for. I include myself, okay? I am the average American taxpayer. And you know what? If I feel screwed, I have to imagine that a lot of other people feel screwed.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I think everybody's getting hosed right now. I mean, I think wealthier Americans tend to be more resistant, more able to fend off these high prices, to fend off, the regulatory assault that we have on capitalism and free market principles coming out of the Federal Trade Commission, the Department of Labor, and virtually every single agency within the federal government. But working class Americans, those are the people that get hosed the hardest here. Those are the people that are, in some instances, when they go out to purchase a vehicle, have to pay interest rates over 20%, that aren't having the opportunities, the educational opportunities to take those jobs at semiconductor factories. And by the way, we're spending billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars to subsidize this industry, which I think is a bad idea. I would rather see, free market principles bring about the growth of the semiconductor industry, which I think we can do, lowering tax rates, reducing regulations, allowing people to actually build factories rather than go through multiple years of environmental review and scrutiny to put their shovel in the ground and get these projects going. Those types of incentives I support. Handing out money from the federal treasury to these large corporations where they won't flow back to working class Americans at all. I just think that's a huge whiff by this administration, which claims to be advocating for the working class and the middle class.
Yeah, but you don't get the grant to build the chips because you make the best chip. It's because your ESG and DEI scores are better than the other guy. Non-binary. It's the free market, you're right, would produce a better product. But even people who are at the upper end of the income scale, the upper middle class, the professional class, they're feeling this pinch as well. Their groceries are costing more. Their gas prices are up. Their kids' tuition is getting harder to finance. It's basically everyone. I do have to leave it there. I thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
All right.